Hello, welcome to another video presentation of chesslecture.com. I am Attila Turzó from Hungary, an international master in chess. In this lecture, we will study some endgames where we will block the position and where we will try to break through on the blocked position and get an advantage. How can we get an advantage in chess? There is two possible ways to create an advantage. We can improve the position of our pieces. This is the first way of getting an advantage. Or we can try to limit the possibilities of the opponent pieces. If we have more space, then our pieces have easier possibilities to get ideal squares. And if the opponent has limited spaces, then with the more pieces, the piece can block each other and hard to get to the right squares, especially in fast ways. So the limited space needs more time to relocate the pieces, and with more space we can easier to get on the right squares. The pawns on the board can be blockaded on the easiest way because of the movement of the pawns. Pawns can move only forward and can capture also only forward, but if a pawn meets another piece or another pawn in front of the pawn, then the pawn is blocked and cannot move anymore. If two pawns blocks each other, let's look an example, like white e5 pawn and black e6 pawn, they blocks each other. It's most of the time is better for the player who have more squares behind his pawns. So this type of blockade is good for white. In many possible examples, in situations, with one pawn we can block the opponent one or even two or three pawns, and that's most of the times disadvantage for the player who blocks with the one pawn the two others. Let me set up a position, a relatively simple one, where we will look how the blockade works. White have one pawn on the king side versus three pawns, and on the queen side white has an extra pawn. Let me set up also the kings. White has a king on f1 and black has a king on d7. Let me look this position. Black has a pawn advantage. White has a passed pawn. How can black win with the pawn advantage? If he can move in this position, which will not the case because white to move, then black would like to create a passed pawn with h5 or with f5, and then with his king he will block the a pawn, and then with the extra pawn he would win. But in this position, white to move. And it's important for white to use the idea of blockade. He can move forward his kingside pawn by g4, g5, blockading the three pawns, h7, g6, f7 pawns. Because if any of those pawns moves, so if the h pawn or the f pawn moves, then white can use the special move, the en passant move, to capture the pawn and win by the two passed pawns. So after g4, g5, white can win the game even, because with his one pawn he blockades the black pawns on the king side, and the a pawn with the support of the king can win the game. Let's look how this can be proceed. If black try to stop the pawn, stop the a pawn, then the easiest way for white to win, just go for the king side and capture the pawns, because the black king need to take care on the a pawn. And black is too far away from the G pawn to get in action. We can say not that far away. If it would be one square closer, it would be okay for black, but white just in time captures the last pawn and then queen the G pawn and win the game. But let me try for another defending possibility for black. He may try immediately to capture the G5 pawn because the G5 pawn is too far away from the white king, so the white king cannot defend it in time. Let's look what happens if black go to capture the pawn with king e6. It's important to move the a pawn immediately. So the black king will have not enough time to come back to capture the a pawn after the G pawn. Because if now blacks try to play f5 and to create a passed pawn, then white can capture it, and after capturing back, the white pawn will move forward, and queen in 1, 2, 3, 4 moves, and black need to get on a8 in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 moves. So he's late in one move. Black can also try to win now the a4 pawn after he forced us to play a4 to save our G pawn. What can white do now? a5 would be simply losing time because black would win easily the pawn, and then maybe he would have enough time to get back to the king side to save his pawns. So white need immediately go to the king side, go forward on the king side and capture the black pawns. We will look just in time, white will have the possibility to win. So in endgames you should calculate very well, promptly, because many times on one move depends the win or the loss. So the king goes forward, and this is a very nice and good example how effective can be the blockade. One white pawn blocks 3 opponent pawns, so black has advantage of 2 pawns, but still white will win because the difference of the king's position, which is very important in endgame. Okay, many times we can even sacrifice or give up 1 or even 2 pawns if our king is better than the opponent king. So our king is closer to the blockade of the board where is the action. So black can only look the action but cannot participate in it. But he will try. Let's look when he will arrive after king e5. Black king can come back to king b5, king f6, king c5. White captures the first pawn. Black still have 1 pawn advantage, and his king is coming. Soon may attack the g5 pawn or defend the g6. White should go for the other pawn, for the h7 pawn to capture the g6. King g7, king e6, king captures h7, and this is the critical position. Black can defend the g6 pawn in two different ways. But both of the way will lose. Let me look first king f5. So this attacks the g5 pawn and defends the g6 pawn, but after white king h6, black should give up the defense of the g6 pawn. It is also called black is in Zugzwang. So black should give up the defense of g6 pawn and cannot go to f6 because of the white pawn, and there is no other square for black, and white will win after capturing the g6 pawn by king h7 and moving the pawn forward. The other way to try to defend the g6 pawn is king f7, but this will lead also another have to move position, a Zugzwang position after king h6, because both of the squares are controlled by white. And this is a type of pawn endgames which we already studied in another lecture, which you can replay and look how to win. But it will be also about the opposition. After king f8 and king g6, king g8, and after king h6, white can move the pawn forward and queen it. So let's think about this example. What was the most important thing? White could block with one pawn 3 pawns in the same time, and by this he could win later with his passed pawns. So in endgames or also in the middle games, you can even sacrifice some material for the blockade to limit the movement of the opponent pieces and then use the advantage to get another advantage and win the game. Like in this game later on, we converted this advantage for king activity, and later the king could win both of the black pawns, the 3 pawns, and with his extra pawn he won the game. Let me look the opposite side of the coin. So let me look what can we do if we play on the other side. So our opponent blocks the position. What can we do? Let me set up another position on the board. So white will have pawns on h3, on g3, on f4, on e5, on d4. And black has the pawn, first pawn on e6. Immediately you can look a similarity compared to the last position, where one pawn blocks the 3 pawns. But okay, we still have another pieces. Let me set up. Let's look the position, try to evaluate the position. The position materially equal. White and black has the same number of pawns. One of the important things when we look the pawns, black has a passed pawn, a defended passed pawn, which most of the time can be very strong in the endgame, if it can be moved later on. So this looks like an advantage for black. For the c4 pawn, white has a d4 pawn, which is blocked by the e6 pawn. So this can be a disadvantage for white and another advantage for black. So what can white do? There is a blockade. The e6 pawn blocks the d4 pawn. What is the opposite side of the coin? When the opponent creates a blockade, we should try to break the blockade. We should try to exchange the pawns, the pawns which create the blockade. So in this way, in this position, we would like to exchange the e6 pawn. White would like to play d4, d5, and exchange the pawn which blocks the position. This is what you should do. If there is a blockade, then you should try to exchange the pawn which makes the blockade. Sometimes even you can sacrifice a pawn for breaking the blockade, because maybe then you get a strong position for it. Example, after d5, white would get passed pawns, the defend passed pawns, like black has on c4. What would be the plan for black, and what would be the good plan for white? With white we want to play d5, it's clear. And we want to block later the c4 defended passed pawn. Black would try to prevent the breaking of the blockade. So he would like to control the d5 square, and later he may try to advance the c pawn. In this position, black to move. This was from a game which was played between two masters. Let me look how did they continue. Black moved the bishop to e8 because he wanted to prevent the a4 move, which may be sometimes good idea to play because the b5 pawn defends the strong c4 pawn, and after the exchange of the pawns, white may win the c4 pawn. So this was the idea behind the bishop e8 move. He tried to prevent a4, or to make it less effective. White played king c3 to attack the c4 pawn, a6. Maybe this is a little bit too passive defense, this a6 move. Maybe what would be a better move if we know the strategical ideas we already spoke about? Bishop c6 would be maybe better to stop the pawn, or be ready to capture back with the bishop instead of the e6 pawn. So bishop c6 would prevent the breaking move d5, d4, d5. Black played a6. Now how white should continue? He already attacked c4, and he got the idea to try to continue the attack on the queen side. So a4. It is also kind of break. Try to exchange of the pawn which defends the passed pawn on c4. Black would like to do the same on the king side. How can he advance some pawns on the king side? He played h6 to try to play g5. Then white exchanged the pawns on b5. Bishop takes b5 is not a good idea, because after knight e3, white would easily win the pawn, and with the pawn advantage he would win the game. So the only move to do is capturing on b5 by the pawn. And now this is a critical position. We look the specific things on the pawn structure in this game, but we need to speak also a little bit about the minor pieces. White has a knight and black has a bishop. And there are many pawns on the board. Most of the time when there are many pawns, then the knight can be better piece than a bishop, because the knight can jump between the pawns, but the bishop may be blocked easily by his or by the opponent pawns. In this position, the blocked pawns are on the same color like the bishop, so black pawns blocks the black bishop. It is a disadvantage for black. So we can say in this type, we say black has a bad bishop and white has a good knight. But how can white use it, this advantage? This advantage to get another advantage and maybe win the game later on. How can white improve the position? White needs some more space if you want to try to break in the position. The white king cannot move forward because it's blocked by own pawns and by the opponent pawns. The white knight cannot go forward. So in this type of moments we always need to consider sacrificing material to open up squares. And in this special moment, white can sacrifice the blocked pawns and can break the blockade by d4, d5 move. And after capturing on d5, white gets also a defended passed pawn on e5, and also white gets a very, very important square on d4, which can be used for the king to attack both of the black pawns, and also can be used for the knight to attack opponent pawns. White knight can attack both pawns in the same time. You look, white has very nicely placed knight and very nice passed pawn. Black has an extra pawn and a passive bishop, and also his king need to be moved king e6. So very defensive position for black. How can you improve the position for white? White can play king d4 to attack the d5 pawn. The bishop defends d5. How would you get a winning advantage now for white? The white king can continue the march to the black camp, and after this move, the white king, look how active. White attacks 2 pawns and the bishop, and black cannot defend anymore both of the pawns because his limited space of his pieces, limited possibilities. The black king should stay on e6 to defend both of the pawns. If it moves, then f5 will be lost. This, and it's important. The c pawn cannot queen because the white knight can come back and stop the pawns, and later the white king wins the pawn. d4 is bad because with the same idea, white will come back and win the pawn, and then later go to c5, and again later maybe win b5 and then win the game. So after this example, after how black plays we looked, the d5 square was very important, because after white played d4, d5, white got the possibility to break into the position with the king, with king d4, king c5, and get a strong passed pawn on e5. Let me go back to the beginning and look if black can defend another way, if he would realize this danger in the very beginning of the position. Because the bad blockade was the main reason of his loss. So he should immediately support the d5 square with the bishop from f3 to block the white d4 pawn. And if now white would play some lazy moves, so not immediately attacked, and just play first like king c3, which normally looks logical, but now it's not enough fast, then black would play king d7 and then a4, defend with a6, then after king c6, black would control d5 square with 3 pieces, and white has no possibilities to break through. And in this position, black could get the draw by the blockade. Also, white blocks the c pawn, so black has also no winning chances with his passed pawn. This would be a draw game. But against bishop f3, white should be fast as possible. Immediately need to try to break the defense of the c4 pawn by h4, and after a6 need to capture on b5, capturing back, and then immediately attack. So the black king has no time to defend, and then white may have the possibility to play the d5 idea, because the black bishop should play bishop c6, defend b5, and now white would play on the same way like we did look with the line which started with bishop e8. After d4, d5, white would break the blockade again, because the movement of the c6 bishop is limited. It need to defend b5, because let's look what happens if you capture with the bishop. Then white simply capture the b5 pawn, and later will attack and win the c4 pawn, and will win the game with the extra b pawn. So black should play e takes d5, and what would be the winning plan for white now? Yes, white would activate the king on the way which we looked in the beginning, and attacking d5 and f5 by the knight to maneuver to e3 with that maximum efficiency of the pieces. The best squares for the bishop will be again on c6, and for the black king need to go to e6. And when white kings arrive to d4 and the knight on e3, black will get again into zwang. Let's look what happens. So black has no active plan, cannot do anything, because the bishop needs to defend this pawn. The bishop can move only on this diagonal. The king cannot move because need to defend d5. And when the knight arrives on e3, then the bishop need to move on the c6 a8 diagonal. And after king c5, you get the same position which we looked in our first analysis, and this way white would win the game. So in this lecture, these two examples we would like to study. In the first example, we studied when, with the ideal blockade, white win a pawn endgame, because the opponent cannot break the blockade, and later on the active king won back the pawns and win by the extra pawn. And in this our second example, we look the other side of the coin when white was able to breaking the blockade, and by that way giving new opportunities for the pieces, and by the good piece placement winning back the pawn and even winning the position later on. In another lecture we will study deeper this kind of very important ideas of blockade and breaking the blockade. We will look also in middle games this plan and these ideas, and also some special opening variations when from the beginning white would like to play for the blockade, and we will look how to try to prevent the blockade the opponent. Thank you very much for your attention, and if you have any questions, please use our form to send ideas for us, and we will reply as soon as possible, and hopefully you will enjoy those lectures also, and you will get a lot of nice games after studying here. Thank you. Bye-bye.